Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Three Idiots Talk Aquariums podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in and liking and subscribing and supporting us in all those good ways. We really appreciate it. We're getting underway 47 minutes late today because someone named Ryan Jury forgot we were recording. So me and Cam have been sitting here. So I'm very lively today. I've got all sorts of. I'm all woken up. I've got all my creative juices flowing. So you're in for probably the best podcast that's ever been recorded ever in the history of the world. So strap in, and we'll keep you entertained for your water changes. So yeah, what have you guys been doing? What has been going on in your guys' fish rooms / fish shops / aquariums / lives recently? Why don't you go first, Ryan, and make up for your tardiness with a fantastic story?
Yeah, I apologise to you two. The listeners won't give a fuck because it'll be the same content to them. They have been sitting here for 47 minutes waiting for me to get out of bed while I'm just sleeping away, snoring away, and you guys are sitting there. I'm surprised you just didn't record it without me. But anyway, there've got to be three idiots, otherwise it doesn't work.
It's only two idiots. Okay.
I had a good fish week. I got a tank off Cam to put in Cam's classroom, partner's classroom. So that's awesome. That's going to be real cool. The only dumb thing about it is I don't get to see it that much because she goes and works there. You know,
you can get her to send you a picture every day.
Want to too, but it's an African Cichlid male tank. As per instructions, normal instructions. It's a little bit small for it because it's only a metre long, but they'll just grow, and then when they get too big, because every school holidays we basically reassess it anyway because the classroom's empty for 2 weeks. So that's when I'd go in and do any deep maintenance or see if anything needs dealing with, and then we can just pull it out, and then Cam's got some nice bigger males to sell, so it's all good.
Sounds good. So if anyone's listening in like 10 weeks or whenever the next school holidays is, hopefully I've got some nice cool fish for you all.
And there's some cool fish in that tank, man. It's going to be pretty wicked. It's going to be pretty cool.
Why don't you give a bit of a teaser of what kind of fish there is?
Oh, the usual shit. Well, there's white knights, there's flame tails, there's Lawanda in there, there's German reds, there's malaria yellows, there's SP44, some OBs, nice OBs. There's a real nice yellow OB in there. There's some yellows, there's some rusties. There's probably more stuff. Like dolphins. Yeah,
sounds like a fun mix.
There's all sorts of stuff in there. I mean, obviously, it's not for a 1 meter tank. There's too many of the wrong sort of fish.
It's not a long-term solution.
It's not a long-term solution. It's but it will probably be okay for till the end of the year, I'd say. Probably the end of the year holidays.
You know
the end of the year holidays, it'll have to come home anyway, or something will have to happen with it.
Get emptied or something.
Or just put an auto feeder on it and go in every 2 weeks and do a water change or something. Don't know.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
This is the kind of classroom I would have loved to be in when I was little.
Yeah.
Born in the wrong generation, as they say.
The little 25-litre tank, she's got probably 5 or 6 kids in her class that whenever they get out of sorts, the kids that need a little bit of extra help and support, they just go off and stare into the fish tank. So they're going to be hopefully be future fish geeks like us and be cool, so.
Nice. And now there's enough room for, like, you can get 20 kids looking at it at once instead of 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I put Sino Lisapinus in there too. So
oh, that's awesome.
So they'll be cruising around, and I think the kids will love Sinos. So that's why I put them in there. I thought that'd be awesome. There's only 3 of them, so hopefully they come out. But they were coming out and feeding off the surface when I was feeding in the fish room, so they should be pretty active. Ideally, I'd like some more, but I could always talk.
Tell me about what sort of aquascape you got going on in there.
I'm going to be posting that to the aquascaping group when the water's settled.
Yep.
And I've even got a new aquascaping term I'm going to use for it that we're going to try and get started.
I look forward to it.
For a new style of aquascape. You know,
Are you posting anonymously?
No. I want to own it. You know a little bit about it, Cam, but other Cam has no idea. I think we just leave this one for a surprise post.
Well, by the time this podcast comes out, everyone will have seen it already. But if not, look up Brian and you'll be able to find it.
I've got to get the lights on and then get it all sorted. I did do a cam though when I tried to do DIY, which I'm usually pretty good at, and marked everything wrong on the lid, and I cut a hole out for the intake of the filter and stuff, and it was in the wrong place. So that was really annoying.
Classic.
And I spent ages drilling this half a hole for the cutout to the hang on the back, so I could push the lid right back. And I measured it from the wrong side of the tank, and then cut the end that I measured it off. So yeah. It was,
so now you need some spare glass?
No, I'll just cut another hole. Won't matter. Just be two little
kids won't care.
2 half round holes on the back. Yeah, it won't affect anything.
You just put it there for contingency.
Yeah, just to let a little bit of condensation out.
Yeah, exactly. Little vent bad boy.
I also tried to fix the tank of Destiny again. The tank that I fixed, I think 5 or 6 times now. I think
the leaking one from the Fishroom.
Oh yeah. It's lucky it's a big tank and glass makes a mess, or I would have thrown it somewhere and smashed it by now. But the cool thing about it is the glass that I stuck on the side broke.
What do you mean?
So I stuck 2 pieces of glass over the crack, and one of them cracked.
That's weird.
I've never seen it before because it's still fully supported by being glued to the other piece of glass. So maybe it was weak and then it flexed or something. What's that?
I mean, the stand's not square of some sort.
Yeah, but it's still on the level floor of a container. Yeah, so that's what I thought too. I thought, is it not level? Is something gone wrong? But I just scooped more silicone over the top of it, and we'll see how it goes. You know, put another layer of silicone on. And that wasn't actually the bit that was leaking because I'd sealed so well underneath that bit of glass. But where it was leaking is right down the bottom underneath the bits of glass. I hadn't put enough goop on the crack, so I just gooped the crack some more, and it's all good. And we'll test it out. This is like the bloody Frankenstein tank, just bits of random glass and silicon floating about all over the place. You should see it,
patches.
The first time that it leaked, I got sick of it and glued the 10mm strips on the bottom pieces. Because I thought it's a really tall tank, so I thought it was the pressure was pushing out the bottom seams. But I don't know, wasn't paying attention or whatever, and I instead of gluing them to the bottom, I glued them to the sides. So it's just a disaster of a tank. It's like it needs to be thrown out, but it fits in the gap, and it's like
just make another one. Bite the bullet and just start again. I probably
should just buy new glass and start again, but I'm like so determined just to make this tank work. So I think I'll fill it up and wait a month before I put any fish in it because it's probably just going to fucking explode.
And then probably the day after you put the fish in it, then that's the day it'll leak again.
Yeah. The good thing is that all the leaks have been gradual and not catastrophic. So either I'm due for a catastrophic leak or it's going to be okay.
Yeah, bro. I reckon you should just push your luck even harder.
Yeah, the luck.
I see 0 ways that it's going to end out badly for you.
It was only one of 3 tanks that have been leaking in the Fishroom,
Oh, nice.
So I think I'll fix that one and another one. But yeah. Where you go?
What have you been up to, Cam?
This week is D week as far as setting up all the next lot of quarantine tanks go.
Oh, nice.
So I cleared everything out yesterday, and I've woken up this morning feeling like I've got some sort of crazy Auckland flu going on, and so that's exactly what I want when I've got a massive day ahead of me of moving fish. So today's plan is to move all the fish out of the dozen tanks that I've got sitting there, put them all into the quarantine, and then pull all those racks out and get some stuff built on Friday and get it back up and running again.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that'll double my capacity of what I've got.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully get you some cool fish going.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, but I haven't woken up feeling that I can do the work. So yeah.
It's and it's also funny when Kim, when she was helping me with this tank, like we went over and saw Cam at 9 o'clock in the morning at his place, helped him move a tank into the shop, and then helped him move all the fish and shit over to that new tank, and then moved the other tank into the car, and then went to Bunnings. And by the time we got that fish in this tank, it was like 5 o'clock at night. She's like,
Jesus.
I didn't think it would take this long, to
like
get
an
everything
all-day
in
job.
and muck around. It was an all-day job. She said, "Oh, we're going to get fish in there today," and I said, "Oh, probably not. We'll just get the tank there." She said, "I want fish in there today." I was like, shit. If your non-fishing missus wants to help you, you've got to do it, And it's the same with moving fish around, like you're about to do. That's why I was thinking about it. Is like, it's easy, but just to get that last little fish out of the tank, out of the tank, because you always get back past the tank and there's a bristle nose or there's something hiding in there that you've missed, that you spent 10 minutes chasing around the tank and you thought you got them all. And then so it is hard to psychologically get yourself there and go, right, I'm going to do it. How did your tank making and your song go? I don't think I've seen anything on this yet.
A song is happening on Friday.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Still haven't confirmed what overflow I'm using to get the drilling done yet. The setting up these tanks have become priority, which I think is more important for at least the next few days. And then
you're a fish shop. You've got to keep fish that are selling in stock. Otherwise, you may as well just go and sell rocks or something.
Yeah, as much as I want to get this lodge tank up and running, logic says I need to have these tanks done first, and so just get that moving and then move on to the next one. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds fair enough. Well,
and you've already lost the bet, so there's no point really in pushing it.
Exactly. May as well double down.
How long have you had that tank now?
Ages. way before Christmas, probably approaching 12 months now.
I mean, so you've missed the deadline. You've got another year to get it done then. It's all good. Just put it in the back. You got plenty of space. Put it at the back. It's all good.
Yeah, it's just sitting there with glass strip sitting beside the other one. So, yeah.
What did you do with the big piece of toughened glass? Did it go back?
Yeah.
So I was thinking that would be a cool thing to, like, if you could frame and mount it somehow for kids to like draw on or put stickers and shit on. Yeah. And when you were talking about doing that for your
fairly large piece of glass to find a spot for, though.
Yeah, you've got a big premises, but not a big retail premises, eh?
Yeah.
You've got a lot at the back. You don't want kids running around at the back with unsupervised.
Not really, no. There's a lot of glass and a lot of water.
Not really a kid place.
No.
That's why I crack up whenever people bring like the whole family to come see my fish room.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
as long as no one dies.
Man, so we can only fit 2 people in there at once, and you go and bought your kids. The good thing is most times it's sunny because Helens Fall's paradise, and and most times the kids like dogs, and my dogs like kids, so the kids just usually end up playing with the dogs and hanging out with them, and then the adults play with the fish. So it's all good.
Everyone wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we get on? What have you been up to, Cam? You've got your Mbuna tank up, so that's all
only
good.
Thing, yeah, the new Mbuna tank will be the only thing. But no, it's looking pretty cool, looking pretty snazzy, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'll be making more content as it calms down and gets less cloudy and all that kind of thing. So yeah, but it's pretty cool. I'm pretty wrapped with it. So yeah, that's probably the only interesting thing I've been up to there.
Where'd you put that?
Maybe. You what, sorry?
Where did you put that?
I put it next to, like, where the Oscar tank is down the end. I put it like right next to that. There was like the little shell dweller tank and that little community tank, and I moved those and put it there. So
Cool.
I think it looks pretty cool.
Nice.
It'll be real, like, as the fish, because the fish is still not massive. So as they keep growing, it'll look real cool, I reckon.
Sweet. What have you put in there?
There is, I don't know, maybe like 30 or 40 red top lycomas. Then there is redfin trophiops, elongator simpunga, and something else. Albino zebras, and also a group of Synodontis lupinus as well. So
Yeah.
everything's still pretty small, but except some of the trophiops are pretty big. But aside from that, everyone else will be pretty little. So once they get big, it'll be pretty dope, I reckon.
Cool. Sounds good.
And you seen a video the other day of the lycoma looking really happy.
Yeah. He like, as soon as he went in, now he's like decided he's the boss. He looks so cool. So it's good to hear it. Good to see it.
Yeah.
So
they're cool fish, and you want to. Obviously, I've got lots of them still, and you want to sell the ones you've got. So let's share the love with Mambuna and show how cool they actually are.
Exactly. Let's get on it. Yeah. Well, so for today's topic, we're doing overrated versus underrated, and so this was Cam's idea, and I still don't 100% understand it well enough to explain it. So I'll let Cam explain it to you all, and you can know what we're doing, and then we'll get into it, eh?
Cool. So
it's actually quite funny that Cam and I don't understand it, because usually it's Cam inbred sitting down there going, I don't know what the hell's going on, and then he goes, oh, that was a dumb topic, I didn't understand it at the end of the podcast. So at least we're saying at the beginning we don't understand it, and he's going to try and explain his theory of real. I
understand it well enough, but he's the one who come up with it, so you can do it all the justice it deserves.
So we'll go around the circle with the talking stick, and I'll give Ryan a topic, for example, and he will say whether he thinks it's overrated or underrated, and then explain his position. And he can do that, and then he'll go to Cam, hey, I think this, overrated, underrated, and then Cam will explain his position, and then we'll just go around the circle like that.
Sounds like a plan.
So both people get to say whether overrated or under. All three of us get to say on one topic, right?
Possible, or we could just push around in a circle, one topic, one person, move through.
I can just push around in a circle, otherwise it'll take forever.
I think we all need to talk about the same subject, otherwise we get everyone's opinion on the same thing.
For the sake of time?
I don't know. Do we want to do more topics, or do we want to do more in-depth?
No, I think it's interesting if we all have our own opinion on each topic, but we'll just see how it goes.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, Cam, you start with you hit Ryan with something, and we'll go from there.
So my first one for Ryan is getting up at 6 a.m. to do a podcast about aquariums. Overrated or underrated?
Definitely underrated. It's amazing. Well, I mean, I didn't do it, so I don't know what it feels like. But in my mind, it would be underrated.
Okay.
Classic banter.
Cool. So we start with a proper one then. So
yeah, we'll hit him with a serious option.
Yeah, canister filters, overrated or underrated?
Oh, I have some opinions.
Definitely underrated. I love them.
Yeah.
I don't think. Well, again, we've already been through it, so we know what we all think about filters. But yeah, I think for the average Aquarius, they're brilliant. They're really good. If you don't want to drill and have a sump and stuff, sump I think is better, but only if you want to go through the hassle of putting a sump on, but you will be better off with a sump. But if you can't get a sump, then just bung a couple of canisters on and go for it.
Yeah, I think so. The only concern I have, the only reason I would disagree is that it doesn't take much for them to leak, which is obviously not ideal. But aside from that, like, in terms of efficiency and like strength and everything like that, they are definitely probably the best off-the-shelf option that we can get. So, yeah.
Yep, I've got them in underrated as well. I think the they're good at what they do. For the best part, there's a lot of really good value in them, and they make hobbyist lives fairly easy if you just, hang around with a couple of aquariums as opposed to massive fish rooms.
Yeah, I'd probably say I didn't give my rating. I'd say I don't know if this is allowed, but I'd say like properly rated, like
You can have on par for sure.
Neutral. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah.
I also just had a flashback to the first time I got my first canister filter, like many years ago, many moons ago, and I remember taking like 5 hours to get the fucking thing started. Like I couldn't figure it out. I put it in the tank and I plugged it in, and it wouldn't work. And couldn't figure out how to purge it, and it was on this real tall tank and stuff. It was quite funny. So yeah, you've got to. The good thing is now we've got access to the internet and YouTube and stuff, and it's really easy to find this information.
Did you have to send out a pigeon to get the answer?
Yeah. Put it in a news board somewhere, or put it in the trade and exchange.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Man, the trade and exchange.
I don't even know what that is. All right. What's your next suggestion, Ryan?
African Cichlid came non-inbred. What do you reckon?
I'm going to say underrated, but okay, I'm going to say underrated. So like, I'm going to say definitely Mbuna and Tangyekin's definitely underrated. Peacocks and Haps probably I'd say closer to properly rated, but it's something that I think a lot more people would get a lot out of than currently even like look at it. Like stuff like, like your shell dwellers and like your Julies and that kind of thing, especially is something that a lot of like the, community or like planted tank type of people would absolutely love. Like the kind of people who love like your epistogrammas and like that kind of thing. I reckon they'd absolutely love them because like Shellies are so much fun. Like Julies are really pretty and really interesting to watch, and like Lelupis, Brashadi, Calvis, compressor seps, like all this kind of stuff is really interesting to watch. Don't need as big a tank, not as aggressive as like, and like full on as like your Mbuna and your the other ones that I forgot the name of, Peacocks and Haps, but you get a lot of cool stuff that people just don't even seem to really consider when I think they would get a lot out of them. And then Mbuna in general is like the challenge is there's a difference between like the random crappy Mbuna that's always floating around and like actual proper nice ones. Like proper nice ones are so cool. Like you see them in person and you're like, just knock your socks off in like 3 seconds. And it's like, wow, that's so much cooler than like this random crappy yellow that is floating around from other shops. So yeah, what do you reckon, other Cam?
I think they're overrated, but not by much. I think there's too much hoopla about them, and it's kind of like the same fish with a different color for the best part when it comes, in particular with Malawis. I also don't like the really ugly-looking, washed-out things that are meant to look like something cool, but because they're not the dominant fish, they look terrible the whole time. I think that's a real bad thing. Where some other fish, even if they're not the dominant fish, they'll still look spectacular going through. But yeah, I don't think they're super overrated, but just beginning to get onto the side of overrated, if that makes sense.
You know what I don't understand is that whole argument about the same fish with different patterns and colors and stuff. Because you could say that about any fish. Like I could say that every tetra is the same with different colors and patterns, but no one really cares. But like you say, like a Malawi cichlid is like the same thing, and I just don't get that.
They're pretty much all the same shape, and they've all got very similar colorations. They've got similar behaviors.
Yeah, but that's like any fish in the hobby. So then it's a redundant.
All fancy plecos are the same. That's it. They're all the same fish, just different colours.
I do like that. They look like a traditional fish, if that makes sense. Like if you think of a fish, that's the sort of shape of a fish.
Yeah,
that's fairly cool. But yeah, they're too aggressive. They're too fiery. just on the slightly overrated side.
That's okay. You're allowed to be wrong.
Yep, cool.
Yep. Next week, we're going to change our name to the Two Idiots podcast, just to let you know.
Well, we could have done that today, but we decided not to because we're embracing everybody, even with their lateness.
No, I was cutting you. Sorry, you cut. You're done. Yeah.
So I don't know if Ryan can say anything today because as soon as he says that, we can just make fun of him for being late. So he's just got to be a good boy and talk about fish.
I get to talk about African cichlids. I think that I think they're underrated, and the fact that I think what Cooler Cam was trying to say is that people are scared of them. I've heard that comment a lot about them looking like the same fish, and I think that stems back to ship quality fish. That when you go through the tanks at another chain store, that New Zealand's leading aquarium store, and you look at all their tanks and all their peacocks are all just ugly brown random hybrids with different names, and half of them are muddled up, and they do look like crap. So because they don't have decent fish, it's hard for people to tell.
But what about like Tropheus, for example? They're a black fish with a different stripe or a different spot on them, basically.
What about Corridoras, for example?
And they're high quality, or some of them are high quality. So where's your argument there?
They're all completely different.
They all act the same way. Psychopaths that want to kill everything.
When they're kept incorrectly, they do.
Yeah, and I think
that's the problem. Is like a lot of things like people say like a lot of people say frontoses are boring, but that's because they chuck them in like big Mbuna tanks and they get the snot beaten out of them, and then it's just this sad looking half dead thing. But like a properly kept one is really different to like a half dead one, and like I really this whole they all look the same argument really gets under my skin because it's like every tetra's the same, every core is the same, every pleco's the same, every gourami's the same. So like that doesn't really. I don't accept that. I'll fight you on that one. But yeah, it's weird. But I would like if you were to say like peacocks and haps are overrated, I could get there. I could understand that, but I definitely think like Mbuna, Tropheus, Tangiekins in general they're very definitely overrated. I mean underrated. Awkward.
No.
That was awkward.
No.
I was gonna say not overrated. I was gonna say not overrated, and then I was gonna say underrated, and then I got myself confused.
Cool. So
Yeah, I think we see where everyone is on that one, so that's easy. That's good. We can keep going forever on that one, but we don't want to do that.
Ryan's trying to take charge to make up for being so late.
I want to talk about African cichlids the whole time, but then I know that Camp Inbred will complain afterwards. Oh, we just took the African cichlids the whole time. It was awesome, but I want to pretend like I hate them and stuff.
All right.
Anyway, Cam, fire away.
Calm down. I'm gonna go. So my next suggestion is I'm gonna say overrated or underrated nano aquariums. And when I say nano aquariums, I'm referring to like 20 liters, or maybe like 30 liters and less, like 1 foot tanks. Overrated or underrated, or properly rated? Hit me.
I think they're overrated. And the first thing that I think of when you say like a 20-liter tank is like open top, crystal clear glass, well and truly manicured, like as opposed to something else. I don't know what else you'd look. I think they're overrated. Bigger body of water is better in my mind for the best part. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with overrated for small tanks like that. But I guess that depends on the use of them as well to an extent. 20-liter tanks for breeding out of, 20-liter tanks for growing out fry perfect, 20-liter tanks for setting up display aquariums. Overrated.
I think the problem in New Zealand is we can't get all of the cool stuff that people put in 20-liter aquariums to make them cool. Overseas you see some really awesome ones. And if I'm picturing that sitting on someone's kitchen bench or their table, like you say, the real cool aquascape and stuff, with appropriately stocked, looking awesome, then I'm saying definitely underrated. But as a tank, when most beginners are going to buy it because it's small and it's easy, I'd say overrated, massively overrated, because they're just going to end up being incorrectly stocked. They're going to end up being a disaster for the person who buys it, and it's going to be bad for everyone. Is what I'm saying.
I'm gonna say overrated, but for a specific reason, and that is because I think they get boring very quickly. So I'm gonna say if you have like, if a nano tank is like your second or third tank, then that's a different story. But if you've just got one, I find a lot of people get bored of them very quick because like you can't add more fish, you run out of space to add plants, there's only so much you can do hardscape wise and all this kind of thing. So I think the challenge is it gets boring and like kind of monotonous where it's like, okay, it took me like 2 weeks to set up and now it's done. Whereas a lot of tanks, I think the fun is like, adding to it and like rescaping it and like adding some different plants or like changing up the way this driftwood's set up or whatever. But you're a lot more limited in the smaller size. So I can see like if it's your second or third tank, like on a bench or something, then that's different because it's like a nice little kind of centerpiece that you can play around with, but isn't your be all and end all. So you have some more kind of stuff going on in terms of like longevity. So yeah, that's kind of my angle. But I agree there is some real cool ones and there is like some real cool fish you can put in them, but it's just limiting and a bit boring is all.
Yeah, as an example, Kim's 25-litre tank out of her classroom is going to the principal of the school because his kids wanted an easy pet. And he doesn't want to take the cherry barbs and stuff that are in there. He wants to go choose his own fish. And I said to her, I don't know. I don't know what else he's going to choose. Like, what would he end up with? And I'm trying to push him towards going and seeing Cam. And then at least, hopefully, he's not going to go to another store and end up putting an arowana. I mean, arowana is an exaggeration, but putting something extremely inappropriate in it. And just having an absolute disaster for his kids, So I'm trying to convince her to get him to call me and sort of just say, hey, why don't you take the fish, the plants, everything that's in there at the moment and just see how you go for starters,
At least with that tank, it's a bit like lower, like it's not as tall, but it's got a bit better of a footprint. So you'll have more options than you would in like a standard one. But still, it would be pretty limiting, which obviously is not fun.
It's not ideal, and I'm worried that it's just going to be a disaster for them. And these kids want to have a pet, and he's like, nah, I don't want a dog, don't want a cat, I want something easy. And so, yeah, exactly the problem with that tank. If it was 2 foot, it'll be like, a little bit more options, But
yeah, exactly. Well, that's kind of a good example of what I was trying to say. So yeah, makes a lot of sense there. What's your next suggestion, big papa?
Fish clubs.
What do you say?
Fish clubs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Ryan?
Even though I'm going to the one tomorrow night in Auckland, I'm going to say overrated. The main reason I'm going to say overrated is I love the idea of it, but I've really struggled to make them work and to see them work. Now that's probably based on the way they are run and all that sort of stuff. There will be a way to make them successful, but I've just seen them as a place where it's so hard to get anyone to show up, and then they show up and then it's kind of a little bit boring, and then everyone just complains and stuff like that. The politics of it, it's in the wrong place. I had to travel an hour to get here, especially in Auckland. It's quite hard because you can put it. You got people who live in South Auckland that belong to the club that are going to drive an hour to North Auckland. You got people in North Auckland, So it's always a bit of balance act. So based on previous experiences with fish clubs, I'm going to say overrated.
So for me, I'm gonna abstain from voting because I have never actually been a part of one. So I joined the old what was it called, Auckland Fishkeepers Association, but I was a member for like 2.5 years or like 3 years or something, and there was never any meetings or anything. And like I messaged like 2 people on Facebook, and that was it. So I'm gonna abstain because I don't have enough information to vote. But I like the idea, and I think it definitely can work. Like you see what happens in like places like America and like the UK and that. But it is like whenever you get a good amount of people together, there's always going to be politics and squabbling and stuff. So that's obviously not fun. But I do like the idea, but I don't have enough information to make a proper vote.
Fair enough.
I don't think we can accept that. Like, you sound like a politician when you said that. It was so bad. You got back to your political studies.
Well, what do you want me to do? Have an opinion on something I don't know about? That sounds like a politician.
You surely can have an opinion and thought on it, do you?
Well, I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea, and I like the idea.
He did answer the question. I was just being difficult.
Yeah, like when you showed up 45 minutes late, like that time.
I thought it was 47. Actually, you got to get that information right.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, you haven't said what your opinion is, Cam.
Yeah, I think they are underrated, but very, very quickly they can become overrated. The idea of getting a whole bunch of like-minded people together in one place once a month to talk about something that everyone loves is fantastic. But it doesn't take long for, like you said, politics, and you don't keep discus, so you're an idiot sort of scenarios kind of to happen. So they can become very, very quickly overrated in a very short period of time.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
Yeah.
But definitely the idea of it is underrated as anything.
Yeah.
Like the idea of a whole bunch of people getting together talking about fish sounds amazing.
Yeah. This hobby is so personalized, and if you want to be a hermit about it, like there could be people listening to us now that none of us are aware that they keep fish, because all you have to do is either walk into the shop and buy your fish, go online and buy it, and you can have half a dozen, 100 tanks in your house, and no one will even know because you keep it so quiet if you choose to do that. So the idea of having a whole bunch of people coming together and talking about fish, I think, is a fantastic principle. But yeah, it doesn't take long for it to go the other way.
Yeah. It's got to keep interesting, because it is a like for everyone, it's going to be a commitment to get there. For me, it's probably a 4-hour time commitment to get to the fish club meeting for 2 hours.
Yeah, but that's your fault for living so far away.
But there'll be a lot of people that live so far away from the North Shore where you're running it.
Yeah, but you live so far away from everything.
There is more things in the world past the Bombays, eh? Like, just
seems
because
like Cap.
Everyone thinks Auckland revolves around Auckland. It's not true.
Yeah. Anyway, and Cam thinks that Auckland's the North Shore, so here we go. Anyway,
that's where the cool people live.
Let's get back to the fishy topics.
All right, what's your next suggestion then?
My next suggestion, I don't know. I am going to say that burp was not cool. You should have muted your microphone. But anyway,
my phone was dragging on the table.
It sounded like a burp. Anyway, I'm trying to think of a subject.
Tell Tonto to shut up.
Yeah, the dogs are trying to complain. Come back to me.
All right. Well, I'll go now while he sorts out his dogs that are trying to kill each other, apparently. So my next sort of what's it called? Topic. My next topic is going to be overrated or underrated ornaments. Hit me.
Shots fired.
Hit me.
I think, personally, they are overrated, and I do not like them.
Of course you did.
However, I see them as a really good gateway for people who want to get into the aquarium and aren't into the hobby and not so keen on doing live things or don't like the look of wood and all that kind of stuff, or children that want SpongeBob SquarePants and that kind of stuff. So I do genuinely believe they're overrated for the best part, but I can absolutely see where they have a place for some people.
All right. I understand. I think you're wrong, but I understand. What do you reckon, Ryan?
I think underrated too. I think they're cool. They're cool. Again, for the same reasons as Cam. For me, they're also very practical. I can stick an ornament in there that's light and easy, and the fish can hide in it and breed in it and stuff, and it's easy to remove in that rather than rocks and natural things. So I like that. But also, like, kids go into an aquarium shop and they'll go straight to the sponge bulbs and to the bright coloured random divers and all that sort of stuff. So I do agree that they are a good entry level thing, and they bring interest in kids into the hobby. And some of the fake stuff can actually look pretty real or pretty cool, like fake backgrounds and fake rocks and things like that. I think can be cool. So
I think so. Obviously, I think they're underrated because I think too many people worry about sort of, the whole purist mindset and stuff. And like, I encounter a lot of people who get like sort of almost peer pressured into trying like rocks and wood and stuff. But it's just like whatever you like, and like the fish isn't going to care. Like there's no difference between a cave created out of, a crashed airplane and a cave created out of 3 rocks. Like the fish is going to hide in it either way. So I think I would definitely say they're underrated, in the sense of like the more sort of serious fish hobby, I guess. So yeah.
Fair.
What's your next one, Ryan?
I've got a topic now. I'm going to say, I already know the answer. I know one of the answers to this, but not two. I'm going to say Cam inbreed because I know your answer. Blackwater aquariums, underrated or overrated?
So underrated, it's not funny. There needs to be so many more because they are amazing. Underrated. Is that what you wanted?
I knew that was going to be the answer from you, but I think cool. We all know why, because we've done Blackwater aquariums.
Yeah, they're cool.
Before.
They're cool. A very cool setup. I like them. More people should give them a go. For every time that you say people should give African Cichlids a go, I think everyone should give a Blackwater aquarium a go. Because
I've never had one, but I'm going to say overrated because
Loser.
The idea of having a fish tank that looks like someone's taken a poo in it or put their tea bag in it just doesn't appeal to me. Like, it looks like the tank is dirty, and it doesn't. I mean, I get why people be into them, but to me, having a brown tank in your house just seems stupid. Like, it looks dirty. It doesn't look nice.
You do your best to keep your fish in the closest possible conditions that they come from you, and it's the same principle. Like, you'll get the best out of your fish if they're from low pH, blackwater type environments. You'll get the best out of them. So underrated.
I'm not disagreeing with the principle. I just think they're dumb. So
I think you're dumb, but that's okay.
I'm gonna say, for me, if you'd asked me like a few weeks ago before we'd done that Blackwater podcast and you had your coffee dates interview with Cam, with that guy whose name I don't know, about the botanicals and stuff.
Yeah,
if you'd asked me before that, I would have said massively overrated, like stupid waste of time. But now I'm gonna say slightly underrated because, like, actually I've been looking at it and like seeing photos on the internet and stuff, and I think there's actually like some real cool stuff. Like, I agree, it's probably not for everyone and not for every sort of situation, but there's definitely you can do some real cool stuff, and like there's some real cool applications where you can get some sort of more real and like true sort of behaviors and stuff out the fish than you normally would. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a bit underrated.
I like it. I like it a lot.
So yeah,
that means Ryan's wrong.
Oh, it's not the first time.
I'm not wrong. I just have a different opinion. But I also threw that out there because I wanted to. I was hoping that Cooler Cam would come on my side, but I didn't think he would. So that's okay. It's okay. I thought he's probably been drinking a little bit of the tea Kool-Aid, and getting down that road.
Right. My turn, is it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I believe so.
Fishing, cycling.
I think to have an opinion, you need to give a definition first,
Okay.
just so we're all on the same page. Just a
Cool.
quick one.
Fishing, cycling. So obviously every aquarium, the filter needs to be cycled to make it healthy or safe for your fish. So a fishing cycle is where you put your fish into a fresh aquarium and let that cycle process happen with the fish in the tank, basically.
And that's the only sort of interference or input you're gonna have, is just put the fish in and then treat it as normal.
Treat it like a normal fish tank, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say.
Okay, Karen.
Oh.
You go.
Oh, I was gonna say, for me, I'm gonna say it is horrifically, horrendously, comically, all these other adjectives, overrated. I think it's very much like one of those ones that I think we talked about it on one of the more recent podcasts about, like, this used to work 40 years ago, so we should still do it. But now I think we know so much more, and it's such a bad way of doing it, like doing damage to the fish's gills. If they survive, good chance they won't survive. I just think it's a terrible idea. But I think technically you could do a fit, like, I don't know if you'd describe it as a fishing cycle, but adding fish and cycled media and doing some extra water changes and limiting feeding and all this kind of thing, doing it that way, I'm going to say, is horrifically underrated, because I think that's the best way to do it. But I suppose it depends on semantics about what you would class as the fishing cycle and what you wouldn't. But that's my thoughts, I guess, and why I asked you to give a specific definition. So yeah.
I 100% agree with Cooler Cam. If you're just
Because I'm
chucking
so
fish in a
smart.
tank, if you're just chucking fish in a tank and going to cycle it that way, it's like completely unethical. The only possible way you could justify it or be in a defensible position is small fish, like one or two small fish in a big tank where the water was so diluted, but it's still not a good idea. But yeah, if you're adding fish and you're adding cycle media, yeah, I definitely think that is the way to cycle a tank. Like, it's hands down the best way to cycle a tank, I reckon. Again, it needs to be done with some intelligence and some thought behind it. It's not just add a fully stocked African Cichlid tank, like, all these big massive haps and then chucking a little bit of cycled media in and then feeding the crap out of them, because that won't work either. It's still got to build up slowly. You're still got to be aware of what you're actually doing. Feed lightly, do some water changes, build up the stock slowly, and you'll be sweet. But yeah, just bunging fish in with no forethought into a cycle at all is going to end badly for everyone.
I sway on the overrated as well. I don't think it's safe or healthy for the fish, whether you're starting from a fresh brand new tank and dumping them straight in, or even if you're using cycled media. I also think there's a lot of people that have far too many issues when doing that method as well. Like, you look on Facebook every other day, or even every day, there's someone, I've just got a new fish tank and I've done all these things, and look at my ammonia and my nitrite and all that kind of stuff. So I think fishing overrated both ways, with cycled media and not. Also, I think, like, one of the biggest keys to keeping fish is learning to be patient and letting a tank evolve and mature. And I think that happens safer and better by doing a fish out cycle, and being patient and just going through that whole process without anything in it, personally.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty much on the same page. Maybe some slight differences in specifics, but for the most part, if you're listening, if you're a fourth idiot, shall we say, don't do that. So it's a bad idea. But yeah, I think is it my turn now, or?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. So my next one is overrated or underrated summer tubbing, like summer tub ponds.
Ooh.
Underrated, definitely.
So, hold on. I should probably give, if you've not heard of this, I should probably give a little description so people know what we're talking about. So that's like over summer, obviously, when it's warmer and that, we're talking about like doing pond, like generally a little pond, but I mean can be as big as you want, in like a tub or like a little preformed plastic pond or like a storage container or whatever, putting fish in there when it's warm enough outside and letting them kind of like breeding them outside where you get all that natural food, all these insect larvae, all this little microflora, microfauna, all this kind of thing. Doing that like on your deck or like, on your driveway or whatever over summer when it's warm enough. And then, so the general idea is like you'll put like, I don't know, 5 cherry barbs in there over at the start of summer. And then at the end of summer, you'll pull out 200,
500.
for example. Yeah. So what do we think of that, gents?
I think it's underrated. Yeah, definitely. Like I've seen some really cool stuff, and I've seen people breed like rosy barbs and stuff outside, and the color and Odessa barbs and things like that, and the color that comes out of them is awesome. Obviously,
like a natural
you need to.
suntan.
Oh, it's awesome! It's so cool. The colors are just amazing. But obviously you just need to be aware of what you're putting outside and where you're doing it. Like, there's some parts of New Zealand that are a lot warmer, a lot more temperate than others. Like Auckland and Northland is a lot warmer than South. So you just got to watch what you're doing and what you're putting out there. Don't want to put discus outside over summer because they're probably not going to do very well, So, but yeah, I definitely think that the only potential dumb thing with it is what do you do with them in winter, So that's where you've got to actually breed them, sell them, or do whatever and then empty it and figure out when you're going to do that. Have a big enough
tank to put them in.
Yeah, but it's definitely a cool idea, and it's relatively low maintenance and fairly easy.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Cam?
Underrated as well. It's great fun. Pretty much every summer I'll chuck a couple of tubs outside and do various guppies or barbs or what have you. It's it's a really good fun little thing. When you bring the fish in, they generally look absolutely spectacular. The colours come through them really, really amazingly. Definitely well and truly worth setting one up if you haven't before. It's pretty easy, pretty low key, pretty low maintenance, pretty low expense. It's quite nice to set one up and sit outside with a cup of coffee and just sort of watch the fish do their natural fish stuff in the sunlight too. 100% underrated. Yeah.
I'm going to say that was probably the most leading sort of question I've ever done because I kind of wanted to talk about it, but maybe it's one we could even do a full podcast on. I think that might be something that maybe as we get closer to summer might be one that people might enjoy. But yeah, I think it's something that we don't really think about, but such a cool little idea. And it's very accessible, obviously. All you need is, a storage container. Everyone's got, access to a storage container. They're, $5 from the warehouse or whatever, and then chuck some water in and away you go. So yeah, I think it's a really cool idea for sure.
Lots of plants, keep it going, and then just every so often chuck the hose in it, fill it up, and keep it moving.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah. White cloud mountain minnows are a real good option for this too. Like, just bung a whole heap of them in there, and then by the end of summer you'll have hundreds of them. Regularly see it on train meat, especially over winter. Lots of pond bred ones.
Yeah, for sure. All right, what do you got, Ryan?
Gonna do one that I know is gonna get a good answer as well. Fancy plecos.
You're a dick.
Fancy plecos, underrated or overrated?
What do you think, Cam?
I feel that they're underrated, and the world of plecos is amazing. I will not allow you to trigger me, and I will not allow you to bully me. Fancy plecos are awesome. They're very, very cool. Everyone.
I'm gonna go with overrated because I think they're very expensive for a fish you're not gonna see. I think they're cool. Like, they do look cool. There's some real cool ones, but I just can't. Personally, I can't get behind spending that much on a shy fish. But I fully understand, hey, do what you want to do. It's your life. But I think it's slightly overrated. Personally.
You're wrong.
I wonder what Ryan thinks.
I like you, but you're wrong.
Yeah, I think you all know what I think. I'm going to go horrendously overrated. If you're spending that amount of money,
Prejudiced.
I mean, if they came out, I would say underrated, definitely. But they're just idle day. The one you had in the store. You couldn't even see the bloody thing. I was looking in there, and you're like, "Oh, there's one in there." I was like, "Where is it?" Oh, it's right down the back behind the filter. I was like, "Well, okay, this is dumb, And it's that much money.
If you set the tank up accordingly and set them up for them, you see them all the time. I've had plenty of fancy pleco tanks that the plecos have sat at the front of the tank because the caves and all the wood twists and stuff have been set to the front, so they'll sit at the front so you can see them.
Yeah, but inside a cave.
Just got to do it proper.
You just got to shine a torch into the cave and you'll see them.
All right. Maybe this will be like the Blackwater situation. If you ask me in 6 months, maybe I'll be all into it, but I doubt
it. Yeah. For me, it's just not something I've ever got into. I do think a zebra pleco is cool, but you just never see it, so that cancels it out.
There's plenty of ones that look cool, but it's just different. They're all the same. It's just different colors and patterns on the same thing.
It's kind of like,
Yes, he did. Oh, he did.
Like, same as African Cichlid.
Okay.
Don't know. Debatable.
Okay. All right. You got
Alrighty.
I've got another one after this as well. So
I've got another good one as well, but we'll let old Sulky go first.
Epiphyte only tanks.
I think very underrated.
So you're talking like
Don't worry
Java and stuff.
Yeah, and maybe it's
Don't worry about all these hard to grow other plants. Like you can do it. Even I've seen some real cool. Like I've seen. I don't know where I saw it, but I saw real cool. Like it had tile bottom, like terracotta tile bottom, and just these big tangles of wood that was just covered in like all sorts of epiphytes. And I thought that was so cool. It was like such a cool tank. So I'm gonna go very underrated.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one because it's a planted tank. However,
it's your plants, Mr. Planted Tank Expert.
I have a bunch of those plants, and they're actually really cool, and they just grow with no light and no effort. And my tanks are green as, and the fish in those tanks love it. Like I just managed to mix some fry that I probably shouldn't have mixed because the other one fry is sitting below the Java fern line and the Java moss line in the tank, and the other fish are sitting on top of it, and they're happy getting along. And the ones that are living below the Java moss are just going to pick at that and the Java fern and stuff, and just it's awesome. And they grow really well. Like you put them in any tank with basic lighting, they're just going to grow. So I agree with them. I think they're awesome, and they're a little bit tougher too for fish that dig stuff up. And we actually stuck a big, massive Java fern in the tank in Kim's class, so we'll see if that survives.
Fingers crossed.
As well, it would look cool if it does. But yeah. Hang on. We've got Fight Night on again. Anyway, I hate to agree with a planted tank being cool, but I do.
That's a win for the good guys.
All right. We'll try to do these last ones a bit quick fire because we're running out of time. But I don't want to miss any good option. Get any good calls. So, what do you got, Ryan?
I was going to say planted tanks, but I think it's too generic, so I can't do it. But I'm going to say plants growing out of tanks. Underrated or overrated?
I think very underrated. I think every tank should have some. Like, it doesn't matter if you're keeping, a peacock tank, if you're keeping an Oscar, if you're keeping a bunch of Danios, if you're keeping a goldfish, whatever. It can go out of every tank, and I think it just looks so cool. It gives you like a bit of a jungle kind of theme, and it's good for the tank, helps a bit of nutrient export, looks cool. You can sell cuttings, like basically think of a good thing that, it's just awesome. Big fan. Someone say something.
I was just about to. I think they're rated about right.
You're coming out with some really bad calls today, I must say.
Yeah. No, I think they're rated about right. Like, I don't think that every tank needs it because I think sometimes it doesn't look quite right. But there's plenty of situations where it looks absolutely phenomenal and fantastic. So, like, I think it's about right. Like, take your tank in the shop with the roots coming down and the wood that was coming down. That looks phenomenal. Like, it's kind of in and out same time, if that makes sense. A bit of feng shui.
Yeah.
But there's some situations I don't think they look very good at all.
I understand
So
that. I
think
still think you're wrong,
right.
but
yeah, I think they're rated about right.
that makes sense.
I think underrated. I think it's awesome. But again, I can see how I've seen some poorly executed ones too. So,
Doesn't matter. Just do it.
Yeah.
If you're listening, do it. It'll be a good time. You'll enjoy it. What more could you want?
Even stick a Kuma in there. That goes fun. That goes hard.
Yeah, Kuma's a good fun.
Don't they just?
Yeah.
They go crazy.
All right, so my next one is overrated or underrated ultra clear glass. Hit me.
Overrated big time.
What do you reckon, Ryan?
I'm going to say overrated too. And the main reason is I don't think people get their tanks clear and lit enough to make much difference at all. If you're going to display... Carol.
I'm going to say overrated as well. I think it's a lot of extra expense. And like with the new Mbuna tank and my Oscar tank, they're side by side. One's ultra clear and one's not. And I don't think it makes much difference at all. Nothing, and like maybe a bit, but not for the amount of cost difference. I don't think it's quite worth it. I think if you get a better light, you'll get a better result than a ultra clear tank.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Yep. All right.
So-
So, hey, yep. We still going?
Yep.
No, you go.
Okay. I'm not quite sure how to word this one, but aquariums that people keep that don't do any water changes, don't do any maintenance, tinfoil hat brigade, don't use dechlorinators, don't use any chemicals in their tank. Do you know where I'm going with that? Like, I can't quite articulate what exactly it is, but do you know where I'm sort of heading with that?
I think you've lumped about 3 different things into one question, though.
It's just like the question is things Cam doesn't like.
Yeah. I think you have to be. You can't say, "Oh, someone who keeps a fish tank who does this and feeds that and does that." You're basically just trying to discriminate against one type of.
So
say like doing water changes.
The anti-everything tank. Is that better?
Sure, I'll allow it.
I don't know what I'm voting on, but anyway, I'm going to say no water changes. Definitely overrated. You need to do water changes. Just do them. That's it. They're not hard. And not using chemicals, I'm going to say underrated. I believe there's only one chemical you really need, and that's a dechlorinator. So that's me.
All right, I'm gonna say overrated as well, because there's no substitute for water changes. Like father fish, whatever, it doesn't matter. You need to do water changes. There's no substitute, and you do need to use chemicals, even if it is just a chlorinator, because if it's such a big problem, then we probably shouldn't be keeping fish at all. So yeah, that's my 2 things. And I think you said something else, but I forgot what it was. I don't know what that was.
I think the anti-everything tank is very overrated.
Really?
Yeah, I do, believe it or not.
That is knock my socks off.
Fish need water changes.
Even though
Chlorinator needs to work. People, you need to, generally speaking, need to use fertilizers for your plants. There's a time and a place for medication. The anti-everything, El Natural, I'm not a huge fan of.
I'd agree.
What's that? You agree with?
I would agree with Cam.
That you should use more chemicals and stuff?
No, that it's overrated.
Okay. I'm still a little bit confused.
I'm confused, bro.
I'm still a little bit confused. So I will carry on with the next question.
The anti-everything is overrated.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe. Yeah.
All right. Do anyone have any other suggestions?
I was going to throw out bristlenose plecos, overrated or underrated. Everyone's favourite fish.
I'm gonna go overrated for a cleaner fish, but underrated for just like a cool fish. I don't think they like you actually like look at them and stuff. They're actually really cool, but if you're buying them for a cleaner fish, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, I don't know. They're pretty good on diatoms.
Yeah, but then just once the diatoms go away, then you've got an extra fish in your tank that you don't necessarily want.
I think they're overrated when people keep more than one of them in their aquarium. I think they are really well suited for just having a single one in each tank. But you have to treat them like a fish in your tank. You can't just treat them like a janitor. So they do need to be fed.
Yeah.
You can't just allow them or let them think they're just going to eat on scraps the whole time. You've got to feed them. You've got to look after them properly. Gold ones in particular, I think, are really, really pretty looking fish.
Yeah, they're cool.
Don't mind me a gold bristlenose. I think they're quite stunning. So I think
I would
they're
tend to
about
agree.
on par rated, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone.
Well, we
Turns
just
up
had
late, buggers off early.
we had the dog bloody doing something, and then a bang, and then Ryan's gone. So Tonto might have just yanked the computer off the table. So that'll be hilarious when we get an angry text in 5 minutes.
Maybe he thinks it's Friday and he can start late and finish early. Off to the pub he goes.
Well, I don't know if I had any more anyway, so it probably works out fine.
Cool.
All right. Well, seeing as Ryan's not here, I guess I'll do the outro. But thank you guys very much for listening and watching and all that. If you know what I would love? If you guys, we should have said this at the start. In the comments, put your opinions, overrated or underrated, on all of these topics. Put those in the comments and on YouTube and all that, and we'll take a look and I'll tell you if you're wrong or not. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And we will catch you in the next one.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
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 The dogs turn